You know, Pokemon has been around for over 25 years now, and we've had some pretty unique designs for each and every generation. Some designs are just straight up meh. Sorry, I don't like Electrode. While others are slept on or are more iconic. Either way, a person's opinion on what makes a great designed Pokemon is highly subjective. For example, there are a lot of Pokemon fans that absolutely love Charizard's design, and it's at least in a lot of people's top 10s. While I do like Charizard's design, it's definitely not in my top 10, but I don't dislike it either. What's neat about a concept like this list is that there are so many Pokemon to pick from, and everyone's lists will at least have one difference. I guarantee it. Who knows, some of you may absolutely hate me for this list, or some of you may actually agree with me on most of these. I actually expect the latter of the two. Now, this list isn't a list of my favorite Pokemon. Although designs do play a part in what I consider as a favorite Pokemon, they're not solely decided based on that factor alone. This list is just me looking at a Pokemon and saying ooh and ah at the badassery or majesty of a particular design and why I like it. At the end of the video as well, put your favorite Pokemon designs in the comments below. I know there are gonna be some pretty unique and hot takes. Anywho though, let's hop into number 10. Starting off with number 10, we have Doughblade. This might be considered a hot take, but I actually like Doughblade's design more than Aegislash's, and that's no disrespect to the Sword and Shield Pokemon. I just think two ghost-possessed swords sticking together is more unique and badass looking. These two Pokemon remind me of a coat of arms, and I really appreciate anything medieval based. Doughblade takes this concept and adds a twist with it being a ghost and steel type. What really brought me over to Doughblade's design actually is the potential it has if Pokemon fusions were real. I played Pokemon Infinite Fusions a while back, and some of its designs combined with Doughblade really blew my mind with the potential and uniqueness some of these artists came up with. Honestly, it's also not too far-fetched to think that some Pokemon trainer in the anime could have one of his Pokemon wield Doughblade for a double battle or something. I just love what can be done with two swords, as they don't just have to float in the air. Even when they do though, the fact that they are telepathic is pretty sick. Up next is Spiritomb, and this is one of the most unique concepts for a Pokemon that the series has ever seen. I'm sure the majority of you guys are pretty familiar with obtaining one and the process of getting it. Scarlet and Violet made that easier, however. Regardless, the design for Spiritomb is eerie, and once you know how Spiritomb is actually created, you realize that eeriness and creepiness isn't just for show. Spiritomb was punished 500 years ago for some misdeeds it did, and it was sealed into an odd keystone comprising of 108 spirits, some of which can also be ill-natured. This Pokemon is made of dead things. It's such a twisted Pokemon in concept and design. It makes you wonder about the trainers who use it. Gen 7, in my opinion, didn't really have any Pokemon that stuck out to me as much as the Ultra Beasts did. These set of Pokemon are all from different dimension wormholes, and they don't look like the average Pokemon at all. To be honest, I couldn't decide which Ultra Beast should take this spot, because all of them just look so funky and unique. So this slot is dedicated to all the Ultra Beasts. If I had to pick a few Ultra Beasts though, Naganadel, Blacephalon, Kartana, and Xurkitree would be the ones that I'd choose. They look like they came from another world, and that's what makes them look so enticing. Xurkitree's entire body is comprised of wires that rated a power plant. Blacephalon straight up looks like an alien with a disco ball on its head, plus it also explodes and robs their opponent of their vitality. Like, what the f? Kartana is an origami human with sharp paper blades, and Naganadel is a poison dragon looking Beedrill. The Ultra Beasts just have so much creativity put into them, and it really brings out the possibility that Pokemon can look any way we want them to. These are aliens from different dimensions, and just have such incredible design concepts. I don't think this one is gonna be a disagreement at all. In fact, I think this Pokemon will wind up on someone's list today in the comments. Number 7 goes to Suicune. If anything, Suicune could go higher, and it wouldn't surprise me if this was someone's favorite Pokemon design. I mean, look at it. It just screams majestic. It's the legendary embodiment of the North Wind, it's the box art of Pokemon Crystal. The Pokemon anime really brought its design justice, especially when Ash first encounters it in Johto and in Pokemon Forever. Walking Wake also looks incredibly amazing. Its design seems to take inspiration from Fujin, the Shinto god of wind, and also possessing a leopard-based concept. Its mane also looks like it takes inspiration to the Northern Aurora. It still makes me wonder though, what Pokemon turned in this Suicune? The legendary Beast Trio were originally 3 other Pokemon that died in the Burn Tower fire, and Ho-Oh turned them into the designs we know today. I have no idea what it could possibly be, but maybe you guys do. Regardless, Suicune is majestic, and I think mostly everyone here can agree with that. Let's hop back in time for a sec to Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark. I don't think it's a hot take to say that I prefer the original variants to the originals. The Hisuian line bears the typing of Normal Ghost, the first of this type combination in the franchise's history. Kitsune are my favorite mythological creatures, so how could I not include the Zoroark line? Hisuian Zoroark seems to draw inspiration from vengeful ghosts and revenants according to Bulbapedia, and its coloration may be based on Kitsune masks, which after looking at it more carefully, I definitely see it now. With its white fur, it looks like an embodiment of death. In Hisui, Zoroark died from harsh conditions and now embodies this deathly concept being reborn through spite. This design is another one of those concepts where it looks so eerie based on its lore and description, but at the same time, it's just a beautiful Pokemon. Despite it being dead, its design distills fear, but still lives up to the majesty of the Zoroark line. I'll say, despite Scarlet and Violet's flaws, a lot of the Pokedex design-wise was a hit. At number 5, we have a prime example of that, with the tie entry of Ceruledge and Rouge. These two mons were definitely quite popular when they were first revealed before Scarlet and Violet's initial release. Looking at their designs, you can see why. You can see the Mega Man in them as well, even though I've personally never played any of the Mega Man games before. These two mons strongly resemble a primary anime protagonist or antagonist. Ceruledge being the antagonist, stealing the life force of its enemies. It's merciless and will do anything in battle. Rouge, being the protagonist's good guy, is the complete polar opposite of Ceruledge, as it believes in fighting fair and is also very loyal. I've used both of these Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, and I don't regret using either of them. These two have the potential to be the poster children for Scarlet and Violet when it comes to unforgettable designs. They stick out a lot, and they're just sick. Up at the 4th slot is another Scarlet and Violet candidate that I know at least 90% of you will agree with me on. Claudes Desire. Come on. Claudes Desire has to be one of the most iconic Pokemon of the 9th generation. You can hate the living out of Scarlet and Violet for all it's worth and still love Claudes Desire. I mean, who could hate this absolutely adorable derpy looking mudfish? I will admit, I was a little perplexed by its design at first, because I really wasn't expecting it at all. But regardless, I loved it within the first few seconds of looking at it. I've never met anyone who has said they disliked Claudes Desire. I'm sure there are some, but they're far and few between. It just smiling at you can make anyone's day. Imagine it just swimming through a swamp and it starts to smile at you. I wouldn't be afraid. I would just go up to it and pet it. I will say I also really love its design concept in the Pokemon TCG. Paldean Wooper and Claudes Desire can be anyone's friend, and I know for a fact they will always be mine and will always find a place on any future team. Damn. 3 Scarlet and Violet entries back to back? It just goes to show that this generation had a lot of hits design-wise. In the top 3, I actually have another tie entry with Annihilape and Kingambit. Honestly, I could reorder the entries of 5 through 3, as any of the mons at these slots are worthy at being at the number 3 slot. Annihilape and Kingambit are 2 of the best designed Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet, hands down. While Bisharp didn't technically need an evolution, the design for Kingambit is the embodiment of badassery. Kingambit may be based on a Shogun or Daimyo, which is a samurai commander. Its evolution method lives up to its design concept perfectly, which is having your Bisharp defeat 3 other enemy Bisharp holding a leader's crest. They have to defeat a Bisharp leading a group of Poniard. Kingambit just sits and looks dope as fuck doing it. As for Annihilape, Primeape needed an evolution, and it's pretty busted. Primeape evolved when the rage in its soul became too much to control, where it then gained so much power as a result of its spirit no longer being limited to flesh. Thank you Bulbapedia for that awesome explanation. It's wild, but I think Primeape's Pokemon Sun Dex entry foreshadows Annihilape, as it does state that Primeape does die because of all the rage. Is it weird that I think Annihilape reminds me of the Ozaru from Dragon Ball? I mean, think about it. An Ozaru loses control and practically destroys everything, unless you're of course Vegeta, who can actually control it. It's kind of similar because Primeape loses control, causing it to evolve? I don't know, maybe it's kind of similar? You tell me. At the penultimate spot is a Pokemon that I have a major reputation for bashing. And to be honest, some of you are definitely going to be shocked it's here. Number 2 is Torterra. Yeah, I used to hate Torterra, and I made tons of jokes about it. But after showing some appreciation to it recently, and actually using it in a playthrough of Brilliant Diamond, I seriously learned to appreciate it. A land turtle is such a badass concept for a Pokemon's design. The way how Detective Pikachu brought it to life further demonstrates this. Grass and Ground, though it may have a 4x weakness, the embodiment that this typing represents results in this concept of badassery. It just goes to show that someone's opinions can change drastically over the years. And the fact that Torterra is so high on a list of best Pokemon, if you were to tell me this 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. Easily. Well, joke's on you, Past Mystic, because I've changed, and I've grown up a lot since those times. To be quite frank, Past Mystic, you're just a shadow of who I am today. And at number 1 is a Pokemon I have always liked actually, and I think a lot of people also appreciate this Pokemon's design a lot. I was one of those Gen 5 haters back in the day. You know, the ice cream cone bad type of person. Well, regardless of that, I saw past that bullshit perspective with the likes of Chandelure, a Chandelure Pokemon based on a Hitodama. In 2020, in the Pokemon of the Year poll, Chandelure was voted as Pokemon's most popular of Generation 5, and it's no wonder it was. This Pokemon's design and concept are dope, and in some ways, even ingenious. A Hitodama are balls of fire said to be the souls of the dead. Rather than just being simple purple fireballs though, Pokemon put it in a chandelier. Chef's kiss. The concept just goes so well with it, it's a flawless design. Chandelure just has that eerie ghost type concept with a creepy origin story attached to it, as it even sucks the spirits out of living things. Shandy is one of the reasons why Generation 5 is one of my favorite generations of all time. It still blows my mind that some people still dislike Gen 5's Pokemon collection when Pokemon like Chandelure exist. Well, that wraps up my list of what I consider to be the top 10 best Pokemon designs. I'm actually pretty damn proud of my list, and I think it's a pretty unique one, with fan favorites as well as having Pokemon that are quite slept on. What do you guys think of my list though? And what Pokemon do you consider to be the best designed? I know for a fact there's gonna be a lot of different opinions for this one, and honestly, I'm looking forward to reading the comments.